Welcome back. As it sinks its teeth into governance, the Modi Sarkar is grappling with a security breach that has no parallels in India's strategic history. A sensitive nuclear-capable Indian missile was inexplicably sent abroad by the UPA government late last year for a trade show. What followed was a series of heart-stopping near misses that could have easily compromised not just the missile program, but India's national security itself. A concerted effort was made to cover up what happened. But the Modi administration wants the full story to emerge. India Today Group's Manu Pabi with this exclusive report.
Ten months ago, this Indian missile was on proud display here at South Korea's most prestigious defense exhibition, ADEX. 5 days later, it was to make its guarded journey back home. But in a shocking security lapse, it missed its ride to India and lay unguarded, vulnerable and dangerously exposed for an entire month. India Today has learnt that the Modi government has sounded the code red and decided to investigate. Sniffing a cover-up by the UPA government, the Modi Sarkar wants to revisit a never-before security scare for India's missile program. The reasons? First, this wasn't just any other missile. The Pragati is an all-weather nuclear-capable short-range surface-to-surface missile, a counter to Pakistan's Nasr tactical nuclear missile and crucial to maintaining India's strategic edge over an unpredictable neighbour. And second, the series of 5 big violations in its journey to Korea and back is plain stunning. First, and perhaps most shockingly, the Pragati missile sent to Korea for the exhibition wasn't a dummy missile, but an actual prototype that was to be used for a live firing. Second, the logistical handling of the missile in Korea was outsourced to a local agent of Chinese origin. Third, the prototype missile missed its ship back to India, stranding it unguarded and vulnerable at the Incheon port for an entire month. Finally, it lumbered back to India as unprotected commercial cargo without the safeguards it needed as sensitive military hardware. In effect, the previous government dispatched a sensitive Indian missile prototype on a tense journey through less than friendly waters to Korea and messed up enough to force the missile to return only with stops at a series of Chinese ports, utterly unthinkable for such sensitive cargo.
In this particular case, what we have come to know is that not only were the missiles lying unguarded for a fair bit of time, but even when they were transported back as commercial cargo, and from the report it seems that they had passed through various Chinese ports.
As the Modi government reopens the file, top sources say the onus of accountability for the breach could lie on then Defence Minister A.K. Antony, who set off the chain of events by approving a prototype missile's journey out of India. As the sensitive file is reopened, the questions and impact over the breach are already thunderingly real. With India Today's Manu Pabi in Delhi, Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
An Indian missile lying unguarded in a Korean port is a security nightmare, throwing up some very important questions which the then Defence Minister A.K. Antony didn't probe through sufficiently. Was the missile system exposed to the possibility of espionage? Also, the possibility of sabotage, since it wasn't a dummy missile, was it exposed to sabotage? Brought back as commercial cargo, what if the missile fell into wrong hands? Remember, there were people of Chinese origin who were responsible for arranging the logistics to have the missile brought back to India. Was the missile test program delayed as a result of this breach? I'm joined now by India Today's Associate Editor Manu Pabi. Manu, these are very important questions, and I find it very disconcerting that the Defence Minister of the time, A.K. Antony, didn't fully attempt to try and find answers to these questions.
Yes, it is surprising that a prototype of the missile itself was sent abroad. It's never been done in the past. It's the usual drill is to send a dummy model, a scale model. For the first time, a prototype was sent on the express permission given by Antony himself, which has not been explained fully as to why a fully functional missile prototype was sent abroad.
Okay. I also want to take our viewers through the sea route that was used for navigation and taking this missile from India to Korea. Take a look. It started from Visakhapatnam, goes around Singapore, Malaysia, all the way up, Manila, the Philippines, and importantly, it goes past Shanghai in China. And on the way back as well, this missile, it's coming back as commercial cargo. There is no security apparatus around it, and it is coming back from deeply hostile waters, very opposed to Indian national security interests. And that really is the problem. Let's just hop back, Manu, to the news desk, because these are important questions. And I want to go across also at this time to Air Marshal Ahluwalia, one of India's foremost strategic thinkers, on the security implications of such an attempt. Why was this missile system sent across to Korea in the first place, Manu? Why did AK Antony allow this? Is this usually done?
See, the intention of sending it abroad was for an exhibition to Korea to sell it as an export product. But it is never done, in the sense that always sensitive systems that go abroad are dummies. They're fully stripped off any sensitive equipment, and they are essentially scale models which are not the actual system itself. But in this case, from what we gather, the only prototype that we had, which was being used for tests itself, for the missile test itself, was sent out, stayed out for more than 2 months, and finally came back after being stranded at a port because it missed its shipping date.
What is the strategic significance of this particular missile system, given the fact that it is in response to missiles that Pakistan has, which it can use or is planning to use or has prepared to use as a tactical first use of a nuclear weapon attack against India?
Correct. This is the Pragati missile, is the export version. It's the non-nuclear version of the Prahar missile, which is India's answer to Nasir, the Pakistani tactical missile program. These are basically essentially short-range missiles, very maneuverable, which can be used, at least from the Pakistani doctrine, to attack conventional troops. So this is our counter to that.
Let me also bring in Air Marshal P.S. Ahluwalia at this time on the security dimensions, Air Marshal Ahluwalia, of this breach. How disconcerting is it for you that an Indian missile is lying unguarded in a Korean port for weeks on end, simply because of apathy, incompetence on the part of the people who were responsible for bringing it back?
Absolutely correct. There is no reason why that you have to send a prototype instead of a dummy model. And what you have actually done is you've given away the technology that was available, if I might call it, a tactical ballistic missile. And this was the technology that was available to us. And the design material, the ablative material, which is the one that, a ballistic missile goes out into the atmosphere and then comes back again. So it's got to have a heat shield. And that kind of technology which melts away, the material which melts away, is a technology not available to many countries. The design, the construction details, all this has been obviously given away to a third party. And where it goes from there is another question. And this was a tactical ballistic missile weighing about 1.3 tons and 200 kgs warhead with a range of approximately 160 kilometers. So it doesn't fall into the MTCR. In other words, it's not in so far as nuclear capability is concerned, because the MTCR says very clearly 500 kgs and 300 kilometers range. But having said that, it is pathetic that it has to go up, to the erstwhile defense minister for clearance, who obviously gave the clearance for such a untoward incident to happen. And what we have done is that this probably was a case of industrial espionage at the end of it, and a third party has been able to get the technology that was available to our country, probably developed by a country, and of a tactical ballistic missile, which could be lethal in a conventional type of warfare.
Stay with me, Air Marshal Ahluwalia. Vice Admiral A.K. Singh is also joining us on this broadcast. Vice Admiral, from a naval perspective, the fact that an Indian missile system is being brought back by commercial cargo is lying unguarded for weeks on end in a Korean port, and when this matter is brought to light, the defense minister of the day decides to brush the matter under the carpet. No serious action is taken. How grave a security breach do you think this is, sir?
Look, this is a very serious security breach. It is a very serious security breach because, quite frankly, in these missiles, we have the indigenous navigation system, we have the indigenous ring laser gyro. If somebody got hold of this capability and he can reverse engineer it, if especially if it's gone to the Chinese or the South Koreans or back to Pakistan, I think it's something very, very serious. And quite frankly, I'm amazed that they would send a real missile there when they could have sent a dummy or a mock-up.
No, because what is being said by officials at the DRDO and the Defence Ministry is that they want to encourage and enhance defence exports, and this is an attempt to do so by giving potential buyers a sense of what the wares really are like. Do you think that is an acceptable explanation, sir?
No, I don't agree with that at all. I definitely don't agree with it. Nobody sends a real missile with everything inside, all the electronics inside, to another country. And if you do, then you must ensure its total security during transit and during the exhibition and also in the transit back.
What about the Chinese angle? The fact that this is brought back from Chinese waters, the fact that people of Chinese origin were involved in the logistics and shipping of this missile. Do you think that in particular renders this missile vulnerable to some sort of espionage or sabotage, given the fact that there is no armed forces personnel or anybody from the security apparatus guiding the missile on the way back?
Yeah, Rahul, as I mentioned, the navigation system in this missile is indigenous. So if somebody managed to get hold of it and get an idea of as to what it is, it definitely will give them a lot of input into the missile.
Manu, what does the Modi government intend to do about this now that this matter has come to light?
See, we believe that in March, the previous government closed the case by a curt note saying no such incident should occur in the future and no such prototype should be sent across. But there was never a deeper inquiry as to was an actual breach, was access given to the missile. So we believe the Modi government has taken up the matter again. They've reopened the case, they're examining the case again, and they may try to first find out if sensitive information was leaked, and second, put accountability on this breach.
Marshal Ahluwalia, do you too believe that action needs to be taken against those officials who were responsible for a lapse as serious, one that reflects extreme incompetence, where you failed to wrap up a missile system in time for the missile to take its booked ship on the way back?
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, there are standard operating procedures. There are laid down rules and regulations for carriage of such kind of missiles to not only another country, but even from where it's supposed to be housed. So therefore, this is a great breach. And what has happened is that now that you have gone into 49% FDI, and you're going to be able to manufacture things in India, and the new government has already taken cognizance that we must develop all these things in India. And with 49% coming in, the security breaches will occur many times over. And therefore, it is not only a question of what has happened, which is an absolutely awful case, and it will lead to an industrial espionage, giving away mainly the capability that we have. Everybody can talk about a tactical ballistic missile, but what we have and what we have developed, our capability being exposed to a third power is something that we need to worry about. We need to worry about our procedures, our security apparatus, and more importantly, awareness that we need to have in organizations like the DRDO to ensure that this kind of a situation or an event never happens in the future. And secondly, of course, importantly, we have to now find out how much damage has been caused by this kind of an action.
Absolutely. I think the both of you are making very important points. This is a very serious breach. It cannot be wished away. It needs to be investigated fully to determine whether or not Indian technology has been stolen by others. Who are the people who were exposed to the Indian missile while it lay unguarded? Who were responsible for this botch up, and what action will be taken? It cannot be brushed under the carpet in this fashion. That's what the Modi government now says it intends to do. Vice Admiral A.K. Singh, Air Marshal Ahluwalia and Manupa before that story. Thank you very much. This is an India Today Group exclusive, and we will be following up reactions to this story. Let's move on to our other big story tonight. The Ministry of External Affairs has stepped into the case of the BSF Jawan who is in Pakistan's custody. India has summoned Pakistan's Deputy High Commissioner to South Block. The Indian High Commissioner in Islamabad has also taken up the matter in Islamabad. The matter escalated after the BSF Rangers talks did not result in Yadav being released today, and now the Indian government is taking no chances.
The last 24 hours have hung heavy at BSF Ranger Satyashil Yadav's home in Firozabad. The family
torn between despair and hope, eyes waiting for the return of their brave.
This
is a Hamirpur Kona post, last post of the Akhrur sector, from where the yesterday BSF soldier has swept away towards Pakistani area, and Pakistan for the last 24 hours still the BSF and the army is regularly contacting the Pakistani authorities to release the captured BSF soldier.
Satyashil was a part of the team of rangers patrolling the Chenab River when the boat malfunctioned. Other rangers managed to climb onto a rescue craft, but Satyashil was swept away in the strong current and reached Sialkot, where he was taken into custody by Pakistani troops and grilled overnight and again the next day by ISI officers.
This is the Chenab River from where the BSF soldier has swept away towards Pakistani side, and you can see the area. This is just 400 to 500 meters away from this place. This is a Pakistani area. Pakistani rangers and the BSF, they are talking on the telephones, and even the army and the Ministry of External Affairs, they are in contact with the Pakistani for the release of the captured BSF soldier.
BSF का बोर्ड बंद हो गया और बहता हुआ पाकिस्तान में जा रहा था। 3 आदमी ने छलांग लगा दिया और एक आदमी उसमें चला गया। वो पाकिस्तान के रेंजर पहुंचे, उन्होंने तुरंत उसको उठाया।
Park Rangers have now promised to hand over Satyashil to the BSF. The MEA is also engaging with the Park Foreign Ministry. The Park envoy has been summoned already. It's a multi-channel release strategy, every effort to ensure Satyashil's return is speedy and secure. With Ashwini Kumar in Jammu and Gaurav Sawant in Delhi, Shujoy, Headlines Today.
India needs to put the required pressure on Pakistan to ensure that India's Jawan is returned without harm. The big political story today. First, she was sent to Mizoram and then removed. Opposition was up in arms against the centre with the surprise removal of Mizoram Governor Kamla Beniwal. The opposition alleging that she had to pay the price for crossing swords with Prime Minister Modi. While the government claimed a recent report by the Home Ministry by 2 state government indicts Kamla Beniwal on charges of corruption and misusing state funds.
I think it's political vendetta.
There is no politics involved in this.
As expected, the decision to sack the Mizoram governor invited opposition outrage, allegations of vendetta, accusations of revenge politics. But the government, firm on its order, maintaining there was no politics behind the sacking, backed up by its allies.
I have only to state that the decision to remove Kamla Beniwal, the governor, has been taken in accordance with established constitutional principles and conventions, with due approval of the Honourable the President of India.
The government probably anticipating the backlash, already ready with its virtual charge sheet against the governor who took on Narendra Modi in Gujarat. Misusing state machinery for personal benefit, that's the case the government is building against Beniwal. The ousted governor allegedly used a 9-seater aircraft of Gujarat government for personal purpose 63 times in 3 years. She flew home 53 times to Jaipur and spent 500 days outside the state after being made Gujarat governor in 2009. It's another matter that Beniwal frequently took on Modi in Gujarat. From the much reported Lokayukta issue to sitting on various legislations through her tenure. She had also sought expenditure details for Modi's Sadbhavna fast in 2011. It was only recently that BJP hit back by raising a land scam in which Beniwal was alleged to have obtained land in Jaipur at below market price.
No violation against the Supreme Court's earlier judgment. Action is taken within the rules, within the Constitution, and there is no politics involved in this.
The big question, of course, is why was Beniwal sacked in such an unceremonious manner? Sources say the government had given her the option of leaving on her own, like the other governors. An option she reportedly declined.
As Governor of Gujarat, Kamla Beniwal never got along with his Chief Minister then, Narendra Modi. But now BJP is being accused of tit for tat and politics of vendetta. They are denying it, saying there's enough evidence against Kamla Beniwal, the fact which was presented before the President of India also. But the fact remains that if there was a report against her in June, why did BJP government wait for this long to act against her? With camera person Pratap, this is Kamaljeet Sandhu in Delhi for Headlines Today.
It's one of the most unlikely stories you're going to see. Ratan Tata squaring off publicly against Amit Mitra, Finance Minister of West Bengal. Stung by Ratan Tata's criticism of the slow pace of industrial expansion in West Bengal, the state finance minister abandoned all semblance of civility when he said the industrialist had turned senile and lost his mind. Ratan Tata had said during an interactive session with the Ladies Study Group in Kolkata that he did not see too many signs of industrial development in the state. He said he wanted everyone to look at what Modi had done with Gujarat. Ratan Tata further said that a state government has to be supportive of industrial growth and it should be free of partiality or bias, and the government should act as a facilitator rather than an obstructor. The statement was in continuance on a question on the Tata Nano plant having to shift from Singhu to Ahmedabad. Clearly rattled by the impact of the statement on the industry sentiment of the state, the West Bengal Finance Minister Amit Mitra decided to shoot his mouth off against one of the country's most respected industrialists. Listen in.
They own Niger company, TCS, investing more, expanding by 20,000 people. Own Niger Tata Group and company, Tata Metallics, last week apply করেছে for expansion. Tata Hitachi, তারা একটা বিরাট ডেভেলপমেন্ট হয়েছে 6 মাস পরে সব খড়গপুরের আমাদের ওয়েস্ট বেঙ্গল ইন্ডাস্ট্রিয়াল ডেভেলপমেন্ট পার্কে। সে তো মতিভ্রম হয়েছে, হয়তো উনি বুঝতে পারেননি, খবর পাননি, আমি জানি না কেন, সেটা ওকে জিজ্ঞেস করুন, এই কথাগুলো উনি জানেন।
Later this evening, Ratan Tata hit back at the West Bengal Finance Minister. He said that his remarks were based on what he saw during his drive from the airport to Maurya via Rajarhat. He said he saw residential and commercial development but very little industrial development. Tata challenged Mitra to show him what industrial development projects he had missed. I dialed Dr. Amit Mitra just before the show began. He said what he had to and has no further comments to add. It's time to end Center Stage tonight, but before that, selfies are all the rage, so much so that even monkeys now seem to be catching onto the trend. This cheeky selfie taken by a monkey in Indonesia has now become a bone of contention between a British photographer and Wikimedia Commons. Hear this. The photographer claims that he has the copyright over the monkey selfie since the animal made off with his camera. But Wikimedia says he doesn't because it was the monkey and not the photographer who pushed the shutter.